Welcome to the final where Doncaster Rovers 1, Everton 2. Everton have not only won a game, they've actually scored 2 goals, which is
incredible.
It's like London buses, isn't it? Wait for so long for one to come.
I love the way you felt like you had to explain that, Jack.
Is it just London buses?
I think
It's
just
the
any
saying,
buses.
isn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
It's the saying.
hey, you've gone in early
bus.
you've gone in early, Jack, with that. So I'm
Fair
all
play
day
to you,
with
Jack.
it.
Fair play.
I'm all day with it. I mean, it felt strange seeing the ball go in the back of the net from Everton. I'll be honest. Yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into it. The manager made some changes to the team. Left Jordan Pickford in goal. A lot of people thought maybe Java Jr. was going to play, but
I didn't.
no, you went with him, didn't you? Michalenko in at left back, like we thought. Godfrey Keane, Patterson at right back, and in the midfield, James Garner got his opportunity to play in the middle of midfield with Onana, Decore, Lewis Dobbin, Arnott Danjuma, and Yusuf Chimiti up front. And I'll be honest, the game couldn't have started worse for Everton. They were absolutely woeful from the kick-off and tried the best, Jack, to give Doncaster a goal within 50 seconds, I think it was, with Michael Keane and Jordan Pickford.
Yeah, well, as live, I actually missed the initial minutes of the game, so I was just getting in from being in here.
Right.
But from when I started watching the game, it was exactly what you described. You know, Everton had no control of the game. Michael Keane looked a bag of nerves at the back, you know, carrying his Premier League form over to the cup against lesser opposition. He didn't look above them. It was a worrying performance from the off, and it soon materialised itself into a goal for Doncaster, didn't it?
I mean, Ped, that first couple of minutes was... You're always, these games, they're the ones you want to start on the front foot.
Set your tone.
Let's show these that, you know, we are above them as in terms of class and everything else. They were just up for it. You know what? They weren't physical or anything. They just worked hard. But that first minute, Everton trying to... I don't know what they were trying to do. Michael Keane with a back with I'll knock it back to the goalie without looking where he is. And then Jordan Pickford's first touch was horrific, and it ends up with them getting a corner, and then from the corner we just give the lad a free header, and he decides to just head it full 50 pence head up in the air.
Yeah, it set the tone, didn't it? Set the tone for the first half. Just players unable to pass the ball to each other and not understanding what the other people were doing, you know, and it is, I know it's a snapshot of Everton where we are, certainly where we were last night, of players just not understanding what their role in and what the next person's role is. You know, that first half last night was one of the worst halves of football I've ever watched, and I mean that. I'm not being like reactionary because it was last night. It was. I came into the game thinking these are bottom of the entire football league. I didn't expect it to be like 5 or 6-0, by the way. I just expected Everton to do a professional job and get out of there and hopefully get a couple of goals. But the way we went about it, and like you mentioned the team there, like there's no way I would have put Michael Keane in there. I would have gone with Brantwaite because I just think he needs all the experience he can get. Yeah. Play against the top Premier League players, play against players who play in the lower, get him all the experience. But no one grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck. Nobody, and that really disappointed me more than anything. More than just the way we played as well. Is that the likes of Ghana playing centre midfield, Onana, like I know the statos are all telling me he's amazing, whatever. But he's not amazing because he doesn't grab hold of the game of football. It doesn't matter how you're playing. You need someone to be vocal. You need someone to demand the ball. And we had no one in that first half. And that's why the subs were so, you know, you seen likes of Young come on. And mainly the Sagana Gay, I thought was brilliant in the second half. The way he just grabbed hold of the game. Yeah. There's no leadership. Michael Keane at the back. You're a 30-year-old centre-back who's been in the top level for like 8-9 years. Why aren't you grabbing hold of the game and like calming people down and talking to them? I thought that was really disappointing. And they didn't have to like... They weren't being, like you said, they weren't being physical. They weren't being like horrible. It wasn't like there was an atmosphere at the ground. It was jovial more than anything else. Their
fans just enjoyed the game of footy.
And I just thought we are rudderless here. Like it needed like a Seamus Coleman to be playing to grab hold and go, hey, what are you doing? what are you doing? And that's what really disappointed me in the first half. And it was horrendous.
The thing that frustrated me is, I've often been going on about what are we trying to do, and people will try to argue that what can this manager do? But it's funny because those same people were the ones who were having a full-on go of Frank Lampard for trying to do something that, granted, we weren't great at either. And I'm not one or the other. I just want Sean Dyche to go, this is what we're doing, and the players to understand it, because he might be saying it, and Ian Woe might be saying it, and Steve Stowe might be saying it. Them players don't seem to have a clue what they're doing. And I don't buy, I've said this before, I do not buy this argument that Everton can't play football. I just don't buy it, because it was proven last night by a team prop on the league that no matter what level of play you're at, if you actually understand what you're trying to do, you can actually play football, and you can try to knock it about a little bit. There'll be varying rates of success with what you're doing. But in that first 45 minutes, we were 40 minutes in, we hadn't had a single touch in their box against the team propping the league up. And like I was saying about Doncaster, we've played in cup ties against lower league opposition before, and elbows are being flying, the crowd are horrible, they're throwing. Like when we played Fleetwood last year, that Blair, fullback for them, put about 6 of our players in the stand. He was a dog, blonde, bleached, bloody head, I can't even remember his name. He was horrible. They kicked shite out of us, and we had to work our way through it. We won the game. They went like that last night, Doncaster. No. All they were doing, Grant McCann got them. Make sure you get in the faces, work hard. They were quicker to the ball. The players tried to play. The crowd enjoyed it. They played really well, and without taking anything away from them, because I wouldn't, they played really well. We just didn't match anything. And when we did get the ball, we just looked like we just didn't know what to do with it.
Well, the thing for me is it looks like a League Two game between two League Two sides in the first 45 minutes, and people might think that's being a bit dramatic, but it goes back to what you say. The reason Doncaster were having the better of it weren't because they were making it horrible, and they were a much lesser team, just throwing everything at the wall, trying to get the better of us, trying to make it horrible for us. They just looked like a better side with more of an idea than Everton, and that's because there was a complete absence of understanding on that pitch on Everton's side of it. There was no moves, there was no on the pitch relationships between midfielders, no understanding of when I get this ball, this player's going to turn and run and I'm going to play it out wide to him. There was nothing like that. There's just this sort of belief of, we're better than these, so we don't really need to think of anything we need to do to actually get a hold on this game. And don't get me wrong, the ability in that Everton side should be enough to get through that game at 80%. But it wasn't even that. It was half of that. There was very little plan, like you say, and how are we going to break this team down? It doesn't need to be anything intricate. It doesn't need to be a Pep Guardiola level 400 pass move. But there needs to be some sort of idea of, okay, how are we going to progress in this game? How are we going to get up the pitch? And that can't just be just punting it long and we'll see what happens. You can play long balls, but what are you going to do with that long ball? What are you going to do with the second ball when you pick it up? Who's going to pick up that second ball and then who's it going to? We didn't think that far ahead at all, did we?
And we were so slow. You didn't see the manager saying play quicker. Everything was like, knock it in, I'll just take it. It was almost like, I'll just keep hold of it because I'm better than him and I'll just decide in a minute. And they were like, we're going to make it difficult for you to play. And that's what teams do. And that's what we should be doing in the Premier League to better teams, working as hard as that. And you can show how you can knock a team off the stride. No one grabbed that game by the scruff of the neck. I felt sorry for Chimiti. He made a couple of runs in behind me, didn't thread the ball through. He was like looking. He's got to learn how to keep hold of the ball a little bit when he's getting bullied. But he was trying to move. Lewis Dobbin didn't have a good night. But at what point should they have switched over him and Danjuma? Just mix the game up a little bit. Give the other fullback something to think about now.
There's a lack of ambition in the team as well. Like because it was coming back off Chimiti in that first half, players weren't willing to gamble, which was obviously different in the second half. Things were just bouncing off people. I mean, Patterson and Mikalenko, they were horrendous. Like, you can understand why Patterson got the hook. Like, he was terrible. He was terrible, and Mikalenko wasn't much better. And you can give him an excuse because he's been out. But they sort of set the tone. The whole back four looked nervous. Ben Godfrey is a shadow.
Expensive back
oh my,
four.
yeah. Ben Godfrey is a shadow. of what we thought we were getting. He's so nervous on the ball. He's so rash in his decision making, and it feeds across the whole back line. And if they're not getting forward, if they're not helping Al just that settle down, a Dobbin who's young or a Schmidt who's playing his first start. Midfield, no one really breaking from midfield either. So we're not going up in numbers, we're not gambling. And the only real moment we had was a simple little 1-2 with Dan Juma and Decore, I think it was. And Dan Juma really should do better. He should add it to target or pull it back. And he does neither really. And it was just, again, it's like you were saying before, it's like, what should happen is, you should have a way of playing. And if you swap players in and out, it shouldn't matter because you've worked on it a million times. And that's the worry, isn't it? I'm hoping that settles down because we've got a centre forward we can play off. Yeah. And maybe that all settles down and you know how you're going to play week in and week out because that centre forward is so important. But like you'd somewhat Dyche before, and it's like, what is the plan? Like, really, what is the plan for this football team? You know, because you've been at the club since you know, late January, February. He has to start settling down into something so people can recognise it. Because like you were saying about, or you said it, Jack, about Doncaster got lesser players, but understood what they were doing. So what they were doing was more effective than what we were doing, and that's what it's a team. It's why it's a team, team sport. It's not individuals.
Everton just looked to me. I've said it all season, like 11 lads have turned up, and they've just go and have a game and see what works. You can't play like that. Better teams just destroy you.
I'd call it an all-star, like an all-star team, but that would be against trade description, wouldn't it?
Would be,
but that's what it feels like. It feels like you've just all turned up on a Saturday morning, and someone's gone, anyone want to give a footy? You just don't know each other's names.
Just go out and see if one of you is good enough to open it up. And it wasn't good enough players. I mean, the manager did make changes, and at the end he went, well, the younger lads, mate, I'm sorry, you don't be trying to pin that on Dobbin, Chimity and Patterson, why we were terrible. All the players you had in that team are very experienced, and they were the ones letting you down. Decore was shocking. Your two centre-backs, awful. Michalenko's an international, poor. These are poor performances. Onana, I actually think Onana was the only one who was trying to affect it, but he just wasn't doing it very well. James Garner was really poor. Like Jekyll and Hyde, the first half, shocking. And I think that probably puts to bed the talk of him replacing Idrissa Gana game midfield. But when he went right back, looked very good. So the two sides of that, it was those players. Dan Juma done nothing against League Two opposition. You know, he can have a go with Chimity and Dobbin and Patterson. These young lads have got to understand what it's like to play for Everton. Your experienced players were the ones letting you down, mate.
Well, there was 11 poor players on the pitch, wasn't there? And not all of them were young.
Yeah, exactly. We went behind, and to me, this just summed up. They'd already had a moment where they cut the ball back and the lad skied it and he should have scored. We went behind and it summed it up. We've got the stills here. Let's have a look at them. It's just they've taken a quick short corner, the two lads. There's a big gap on the edge of the box, as you can see. And on the next one, as the ball comes, with the lad onto his left foot, I've got Abdoulaye Decore circled with the goal scorer, Ironside. So we can see Ironside. So I'll just mark the shirt because he's next to me. Take it on one. No, Decore, still circled, decides to leave Ironside on his own, who's now behind Michael Keane. And then as the kid goes to header him, we take it on again. Ironside, who still hasn't really moved, is flying through the air. And there's Decore circled towards the edge of the penalty area. And he heads it past Pickford. And at first I was thinking, should Pickford come for it? I've looked back. If he comes for it, he risks giving the penalty away like he did against Watkins. Abdoulaye Decore, that's your man, mate. You're next to him when the ball's coming in. Don't leave him and go to the edge of the box and then turn around and look to blame someone else. Deal with it. If he isn't your man off a corner, then you have the discussion with whoever it is. It was so basic. And a few minutes later, they had another one and Pickford. That's to make it safe. Could have been 2-0. And that, to me, just summed up that first half of something that basic. You're marking the player and you just vacate it and go somewhere else. It's school, but I'd even be doing school children a disservice by saying it's a school kid's mistake. It was pathetic.
Yeah. I mean, the lad was like 4 yards offside.
Oh, he was. Listen, he was offside, but for clarity, they should have had the penalty at 1-0. It was handball by Michalenko, it was in, and it hit his hand. It was a penalty. So we didn't get away with that. We got away with the one when they. So we can't really bleat about that.
Yeah.
Was offside. It was a penalty at 1-0, should have been 2-0. So
the thing for me isn't even necessarily the specifics of the goal they've scored. It was the fact that the goal coming was inevitable.
yeah,
You know, the
no,
fact that we were
absolutely.
in a position where Doncaster always looked like they were going to score first, for me, is the problem here. And yet the goal in question was offside, but then, you know, we got away with a penalty a few minutes later. So it's the same thing. And either way, they were going to be 1-0 up. It just, you know, the ref got his lines wrong, didn't he? But yeah, the fact we were ever in a position where Doncaster, it looked inevitable, they were going to go 1-0 up, is the problem here.
But you know, what we've just shown there, and again, I could be doing the manager and the coaching staff at this service here, right? But this was something I was sold on with Dice when people told me what we'd get. Well, great offset plays, great defensively offset plays. And yet, we've seen against Wolves, we've seen against Fulham, just people not marking people, and we lose goals. Villa, we decided to play our part in all 4 of their goals. Last night, that is basic. That Doncaster haven't done anything special. They've gone short. Lads at the edge of the box, and he puts the ball into the penalty area. Anyone should be able to defend against that. And yet,
defensively, we're a mess. I mean, that looks like, that set piece looks like by design, though. You can't tell me that the Corey's just done that from his own back. I just don't understand why you would run out there, because he's not even close to that.
I think he's running out because he'll have been told, if we clear it, you break.
Well,
but you cannot leave
no, I know, but
no,
I know, but but if it is by design, then that's even worse, because if that's by design, the defensive side of our game is horrendous at times as well. We're not sure at the back. We're not. You look at us and just think, we don't keep clean sheets. Where's this like Dyche defensive like masterclass that we're supposed? Set pieces defensively and offensively, we look poor, even though we started offensively well in Dyche's tenure. That's gone missing. The set pieces themselves are really bad. The deliveries are really bad. And but what's weird is there hasn't been a push really, or doesn't seem to be a push of brought anyone in to rectify it, because I'll be honest with you, I'm terrified if we haven't got Tarkowski or Branthwaite. I'm terrified by them too. They're not. Michael Keane and Ben Godfrey are not good enough. They're not good enough whatsoever. Nowhere near good enough for the Premier League. You know, Michael Keane is like a goal machine. When he's in, the opposition just score. And Ben Godfrey is so rash in his decision making, and the way it's just like there's no calmness about him at all. So you're talking now about Branthwaite and Tarkowski have to play in every game, and that's maybe one of the reasons why they didn't play last night, because the manager knows that. But I'd be desperate to bring another one in. I really would. You know, it's not something that we can just patch up.
No.
You know, it's not something we can just deal with. I think we really should have got another one in. And defensively, we've looked a mess in every game. The stats are there to prove it. It's a you know, and the full Nathan Patterson has started the season horrendously. You can't cover that up. You can look at the reasons people playing in front of him, but I keep saying this about him.
Last night on the ball,
He does not look confident in himself at all. No. It's like he second guesses everything he does. You can see the cogs ticking in his head, and that's.
But he wasn't doing that. Why is he doing it now?
Maybe it's because he's so nervous about getting an injury or putting himself in a situation. Well, maybe that's it, because it is. But when you go back 12 months and look at the player, there was a tenaciousness about him in everything he did. Wanted to get forward. I'm not seeing that in him at all, and his performances are dire. And I did say to a couple of weeks ago about, we were doing round the Tower show, and said, when will he move Garner to right back? Because I did think it was, there's a calmness about Garner, whereas at the moment,
there's a willingness to get forward.
Patterson just looks dead nervous. And on the other side, you got Michalenko, and I've never rated Michalenko, but when it's between him and Ashley Young for our left back position, suddenly in defence we look. That's and you're now going, God, can't wait for Seamus to come back. That's.
I think. No, listen. Patterson at the weekend was all right, and his numbers proved that. But in possession, he does look shot at the moment, and he wasn't like this. So you're right. It could be confidence. It could be fear of injury. I don't know. But James Garner just said to Jack on another show we've done, I'd be worried if I was him, because James Garner went there and showed them everything he should be doing. Garner wanted to play forward, he wanted to get forward, he put crosses into the box, nearly scored a goal himself. There was a great block by the lad. He got him, I think that was at 2-1, I think, or like to make it 3-1. The kid's got across, made a great block from him. Everything you want your right back to be doing, that's what Patterson has got to do. It's great being physically good and a good athlete. You've got to start taking, you have to become a winger really as a right back now, and he's got to work on that side of his game, and he's got to be looking at James Garner and go, what's he done well? I need to be doing that, because at the moment, as Ped's saying, he's going that way rather than that way.
Well, if we are going with the theory of Nathan's Patterson's struggles are clearly influenced by whatever he's dealing with mentally, whether that's, his bad performances are getting on top of him and that's making him play worse and it's a double-edged sword, or, he's worried about injury, whatever it is, that for me just favours the argument that he should come out the firing line for a bit. I don't think he's a flop of a transfer, I still think he could be Everton's right back. He'd still play a lot of games this season. But I just think for the time being, for 2 weeks, I'd like to see him come out the team. Just get away from it all, because the more he struggles, the more the fans will point it out. And that's only natural. If
he's going to go away with Scotland. He generally has a good time with Scotland. So
it's not a case of there's too many people put too much emphasis on like you were saying, Jack, about is he a flop? Or you look at what's right in now and go, is he playing well? No. Is there someone who can take his place? Yes. Then that sometimes is the difference. James Garner will see chances playing become less and less when the likes of Harrison and McNeil come back. So can he force his way into midfield? Well, he didn't prove to me last night he can force his way into midfield. So where's the option? Well, right back played all summer in the Euro Championships, won the final with them playing at right back. The lad can play it. That will be the natural position for him to drop into, and that's football. That's football. When someone's better than you or playing better in that moment, they get the shirt. That's just the way it is. Patterson then has to go away and fight for that position, and that's all it comes down to. So no favourites. It's not about being a flop. It's just in this moment right now, Patterson might need some time out the team, like you're saying, Jack. Go away with Scotland, find a different perspective, because gets to play for Scotland, gets to do things slightly different, and come back and go, I'm going to win that shirt back. And that's sometimes all it takes.
Well, that's what you want, isn't it? In your squad, don't you? You want players scrapping. You don't want it to be you play no matter what, because that brings complacency in, the dip in performance, and that.
This is where
it's exactly what we need to create right the way through the squad. You don't have it in every position.
But that's what the Corey mentioned this week. We need players. Why? Because players like to be challenged. They like someone in training pushing them, and it brings the most out of them.
Edge, isn't it?
Of course it is.
These lads are at elite level in sport, and to get elite level in sport is competition. It's edge. It's something that fires you every day. I'm determined you're not getting the better than me. If you know you're playing, there will be a dip. It's only the very, very top level players that ever stay at that level for as long as they do, which is why they're where they are. We had one decent move right on half time. Ball into Chimit. He held it up well, laid it off, and Onana forced a good save from the keeper. We needed changes at the break. The manager put Zishagana Gay on, Ashley Young and Beto came on for Chimiti. And immediately we saw anyone who complains about Garner and Zisha. I don't know what you're seeing when you talk about taking him out of our midfield, because he knits our midfield together. Does he give some stupid passes away at times? Yeah, he does. But then the others do. Garner come on and got hold of the game, like you said, Ped, and drove us forward. And all of a sudden, don't get me wrong, the first 20 minutes of the second half weren't great by any stretch, but we had a little bit of a grip in midfield for the first time. We still didn't do anything with it early on, but he was everywhere, wasn't he? And he was winning tackles, and he was trying to get us playing a little bit. And slowly but surely, Beto started knocking people about and was a presence for us, and got himself involved early on. Knocked someone over, bounced around, got a little bit of a run and a turn on someone, and you thought he actually looks lively. And the next minute we did start to overtake them then, because their fans in the first half were singing Premier League. You're having a laugh. They were spot on. But second half,
I thought that was our fans.
Probably us as well, yeah. I thought it was our singing getting sacked in the morning. But second half with them on, we did take over.
Well, I'm glad Sean Dyche broke one of his worst habits as Everton manager and leaving it too late to make changes. There's still a lot you can criticise Sean Dyche over for last night, don't get me wrong. But I'm glad he didn't leave it till after an hour like he normally does. For once, at least there's that. And having Guay in the middle of the park immediately just gave us more of that control, that thing we all thought we were missing. Breaking up their play, giving them less confidence on the ball, and having an experienced older head in there. You know, he's not pulling out 40-yard crossfield passes, but he does make intelligent passes. And that straight away just gave us that little bit we were missing, and you know, we shouldn't have been missing it because we were playing Doncaster, and no disrespect to them, but a League Two side, but we were missing it, so we made the change. And then, like you say, having Beto up front, pulling the trigger on him. He only signed earlier in the day, or the day before even, sorry, but you know, being able to commit to that, don't wait for him to be Dyche fit and he's got to do 7 training sessions at Finch Farm before he can get a look in. Bring him on, he's been at the club for a day, give him 45 minutes, and immediately, you know, a more mobile striker making them runs in behind, that's an outlet straight away. That's something you can aim for. You've got to move then. It's one move, but it's more moves than we had. Yeah,
Chimiti looked like a kid, didn't he, in the first half? He really did. He looked like a kid just playing up against, you know, he will have felt, but I always feel like mentally in these games where young players, certainly young players who've come in from abroad, they just don't know that the way our system works over here. They don't know that the point of these games is that they will always feel like they're going to win. That's the thing about our league compared to other countries is, doesn't matter who you play, they always think they've got an opportunity, certainly at home, and you could feel that. Chimiti had been going down too easy and stuff, and yeah, Beto made a massive difference, but on Ghana Gay, he looked like a Premier League player.
Yeah, he did.
No one else looked like a Premier League. Like, they were getting, he just come in and went, I'm going to win every 50-50. I'm going to stop your momentum. And as soon as he came on, he just stopped them moving forward, got hold of the ball, played it simple, and then if we lost it, he won it back, and he looked like a Premier League player.
And we had then James Garner pushing right on and taking us up the pitch.
What it did was, it actually said to someone like Dan Juma, you can play higher, because you don't have to worry, because we're going to just sit in there half. Whereas that wasn't there in the first half. So let's have a look at Garner's stats.
Let's have a look at his stats from last night. There you go. 45 minutes, 86% passing accuracy, 2 key passes, won 100% of his duels.
Out of 6.
And is that, how many tackles is that?
3 tackles.
3 tackles. And yeah, look at his heat map. He was getting the ball back exactly where you want him to, and he was all over the pitch, and he gave us that focal point, that base, the access there, which allowed Onana to start getting forward, Decore dropping into pockets and getting hold of the ball. Ashley Young helped us because that his experience of just calming the play down, going, no, I'll have the ball. Because other players have been given it, and the minute someone come at them, they were like, I don't want it, or they were like, they didn't know what to do with it, and then players Beto did come on and go, I'm going to knock you about, I'm a big lad. You know, he's knocking them over, he's gone on a run, and he's winning headers and flicks, and all of a sudden their centre-backs are thinking, oh, I'm in a game here. You know, and that's I think it's great for Chimiti, because you look and go, right, there's the level I've got to get to. I'm a big lad as well. Now can I use me height, and can I use me body the way he does? He's got to grow into that. A few KFCs obviously about him. But we did look a little bit more like it. And we saw the power of his running, and we got ourselves a goal, of course, from it. And it was, we've got the stills here for the goal. And this is what Beto gives us. If we just look at the first one here, we've got Beto setting off, and this is something we didn't have in the first half. We've got, obviously, he's the short arrow making the run. And Decore knows that he can put it back in to that area in behind the fullback. We take it on one, and there he is getting ahead of him now. And you can see for the first time, we've got Dan Juma breaking as well. So we've got 2. Take it on again, goalkeeper comes out, he can either go sweaty, FIFA sweaty and roll it square, but no, he's a goal scorer, wants to score himself. He take it on again, he just toe pokes it past the goalkeeper. It's a lovely little finish, and there he is, giving it the full Samuel Eto'o first Everton goal celebration with the ball under his arm and waving, and he was delighted and the crowd were delighted, which is exactly what you want, and we were back in the game. And from that moment, I'm watching it with my dad and my track, and I'm like, yeah, we'll win this now. This is it now. I expect it to be 3, maybe 4-1. And it almost played out like that. A few minutes later, we have a great run by Garner on the overlap, lovely cross, and he crashes a header against the post. And we just looked totally different, Jack, didn't we, from that moment?
Yeah, that goal gave us the confidence, didn't it, to actually act like a Premier League team in this type. But that, for me, not only that goal, but that move as a whole is down to the striker. It requires him to make that run, not only make the run, but do it well, time it right. And the strikers in the Everton squad who don't make that run.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say, does it right, times it excellently. Good ball by Decore, by all means, but still, that move's not on it.
But it's a simple ball from Decore, because you just hit in a space. You're hitting, this is not something that, oh, Beto did this because it was against Doncaster, but this is what he does in Serie A. He makes those runs.
It's his game, isn't it?
Once he starts running with the pace, and that gives us a little bit of an insight into a different way of playing.
And we'd already seen it, haven't we? Because he got down the right-hand side where the linesman said it was out, and again, the linesman, It
was a cracking ball.
It was a cracking ball. We had a tapping in the middle if it had been mad, absolutely mad. Now he knows how to get behind, and obviously, listen, it's League Two opposition. Premier League will be completely different. Yeah. But it's someone you just felt like there was a presence up front. Just felt like we had finally got someone up front who understands how to put himself about, how to run the channels. Early, there's someone to aim at, as you mentioned. I actually disappointed here. I mean, I know we're all disappointed at the post, but I was disappointed in. I thought he should have smashed that in the top corner. I know, but honestly, I think on another day he will do that.
Yeah.
Another day he'll be disappointed with that. I think. I actually what I liked about the goal was it came a minute after he'd had that swing and a miss.
Oh, that was
and everyone was laughing at him, and I almost felt like he went,
I'll see you in a minute.
I'll see you in a minute, and I'll show you lot. And it was like he was determined to get a goal.
And the ball, grab the ball, and that's
that was it. Like
the right mentality.
I think the manager's touched on it in a press conference today. It's like that attitude of like, I will run into you're just knocking a ball into a channel, I'll go. Yeah. I want to run, I want to do it, I'll knock you about. This is a lad who, again, listen, for anyone watching, going overboard, because it was Doncaster lead to all of that, but we've seen this in Serie A with them, and sometimes when those players come up through the unconventional route, this is what made Jamie Vardy so good. He hadn't had a silver spoon in his mouth and all his initials on his training gear when he was an embryo, and his boots made for him and all. He had to fight to get it. This kid's working in KFC 4 years ago, wants to do the hard yards, wants to run in behind. He's come on then, I'm up for it, I'm a big lad. And once he gets going, someone's running at pace. This is why Erling, again, probably shouldn't put them in the same sentence, but when Haaland's in full flight, because of his physical size, he's difficult to stay with. This kid's 6'4", runs, is quick, because he is strong, it's difficult to stop, and that's why in the Premier League he still will be a handful. Whether he scores goals, we'll see, but he will be a handful, and that handful means that you can get bodies around him, and people will knock that ball thinking he can get that, and then will follow it. If you're knocking a ball and thinking, centre forward ain't getting that, you're not going to commit. And I thought that gave us a little bit of a different option last night, and he ends up with, if Idrissa Gana Gay rolls one to him a little bit earlier, he scores again, and he does eventually score, but he's offside. But he was a real positive, wasn't he? Let's have a look at his stats from the game last night. 45 minutes played, 4 shots he had, which I think was the most. 1 goal, 100% of his aerials. He was put 2 tackles in as well. And you see, like, obviously he dropped into those pockets, but quite central as well, running in and obviously in and around the middle of the goal as well. And that was a really good start for him. And it's great, I think, Jack, for a centre forward to get off the mark on your debut, because it calms everyone down immediately, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And he had a great game, didn't he? And whether the ability shown last night translate over to the Premier League remains to be seen, because we haven't seen him in the Premier League yet. But what we are seeing from Beto, that I think we'll always get, based off what he's shown last night and how he's speaking and how he's carried himself, is hard work, is making those runs. That's clearly his style of play. And even on games where he doesn't have the best game, technically wise, he might miss a chance and that, we'll always get the running from him. By the look of it, he said today, I can't promise goals, I can promise hard work.
And I love that about him. And he is it. Listen, me and Pip were talking about him a while ago. I think we both described him as like a scruffy type of sense of. He's not like aesthetically like pleasing in terms of his first touch. It's not bad, but he is a little bit of hustle and bustle. I don't mind that. And Everton have always, throughout my life of watching Everton, we've always had a physically dominating centre forward. Even our great teams, the greatest ever Everton team, are Graham Sharp and Andy Gray. Yes, there was the Adrian Heath. He was smaller. We had the pace of Gary Lineker alongside Graham Sharp, and we had edges off that even recent times. Romelu Lukaku was a big physical presence. Better footballer, I would say, than Beto, but that physical presence.
I think what he does is
Duncan,
he shoots what Dyche wants to do, doesn't he?
Of course,
We're not going to be playing flowing football through the midfield. We're going to be getting it wide. We're going to be playing it down the channels. We're going to be looking for someone to scrap and fight and not give up on situations.
What he does though, Ped, because he will run in behind though, he gives you that pass that we can thread you through, and because you're big, so he will, I think he will encourage, and we've seen that from Onana in a few games this season, that early ball that's released people. We saw it, Dan Juma at the weekend was just offside, Mopai against Fulham. So if he makes those runs, it low.
Yeah, and I think he's got the pace to get behind people as well, and therefore people are being encouraged to play that ball in behind.
Yeah.
He's not going to give anyone an easy day, is he? Any centre-half an easy day.
No.
They're going to know they've played against someone who's a bit of a workhorse, who understands the hard work is the most important thing, you know, and he has had that trajectory, so it's going to be very interesting. Hopefully he gets off to a good start on Saturday, and then obviously a couple of weeks for the international break, and you just want, the best thing is you just want a player who's come in, who people are expecting to do things, to change the momentum of a game where it's looking so bad. It was almost like perfect last night because it was so bad. You bring someone in and he does change the momentum of it, and
it's been a while again, and this is just on this game. This is not what I'm saying will happen for every time, but it's been a while since we've had a striker who come on and just grab the game on his own and turn the game around, hasn't it? And that's what he did last night. Obviously, Dan Juma came into it then because he had a presence up with him, and he hit the crossbar, which he's trying to whip it, and he was looking a bit livelier. And he got himself a nice little goal. We got Mopai on the pitch, dropping into his number 10 role. Maybe, he could be the key, the James Mopai, who knows. But he got an assist. He got on the ball and linked the play quite nicely when he had someone ahead of him. I'm not saying that's it now, keep him and do all it, because I imagine the lad wants to move on to play games. But he did play his role in the Dan Juma goal. Good little ball in, nice layoff to Dan Juma. He took it on. It was a lovely finish back across the keeper. Didn't give the goalie a chance, and great for him to get off the mark with his first Everton goal.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's needed that, Dan Juma, as well. He didn't have the greatest first half. I think a more confident, informed Dan Juma takes that chance he had in the first half that he should have done better with. Yeah. And that's from Alpay as well. Look, he's going out anyway. And yes, it was against Doncaster. But in the role Alpay played in, he played better against Doncaster than he would have played in the typical striker role.
Yeah.
Than he would have against Doncaster. Yeah. So even if you are judging it through that scope, you have got to look at, well, he's been played in his preferred position and he's done better. So although he doesn't have a future at Everton, it just speaks more volumes about the suitability of that signing, doesn't it? It shows he's not necessarily an awful player, but he's playing in a role that he's awful in.
Doesn't suit him, does it? And he done all right, didn't he, when he come on?
Yeah, he did fine.
Linked it up, linked the play well.
There's just over 24 hours, isn't it? So will he move? I mean, that's a big if, isn't it? It's a big if. I mean, I'm sure if there's a loan or something, he probably would. But if he goes, he goes. I mean, said he done his part when he came on. He done his part in the goal. It's not like, I mean, the thing about Mopai is, it's not like he doesn't try. No. Things just don't come off for him. He just, like, nothing he seems to do ever works.
We've said, haven't we, he's defo would be always better than a 2. And if you've got if that 2 is one here alongside that big unit, like Beto's knocking people about. I mean, that one when he went in the 50-50, Beto and the kid was spinning in mid-air.
That's the point though, isn't it?
It was that kind of thing.
That's the point. We've brought Beto in, and Mopai's been played in the same position. Like that's that doesn't make any sense, does it? So you can sit and you can criticise Mopai, and of course we all have. But that's if you look at that's the player who's supposed to play in that role, not Mopai.
And I think the manager said as well today in the press conference, he was asked about Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Does that take the pressure off Dominic Calvert-Lewin? And what it does is it does take the pressure off him. But what the manager said, and he was right in this when he said it, was, well, what it does is it gives us another option in that role, because you should have players who can challenge each other. Will there be occasions when, tell you what, I wouldn't like to play against the pair of them in a game, back to the Bruce brothers and all that. I imagine those two would give you a hard time, wouldn't they? up front. But it's great because if we can get Dom fully fit again, well, he will be fully fit soon, and he's available, and then you have got Chimiti as well. You've got 3 lads who are all over 6 foot, who are your strikers, and all of a sudden you can go, oh, I understand what they're trying to do here. And it is great for Dom that we don't, you know, if there is a situation where he's running on the red and you're thinking he could do it just being sub today, we don't have to flog him, just see if you can do an hour because you've got this fella or whatever. And that can only help us, surely.
Yeah, and like you say, we've got 3 strikers now, all of a similar mould. They've got different aspects of the game. You know, Beto's a running behind type of striker. Calvert-Lewin a little bit more of a poacher. Chimiti seems to be more about his movement, like just even the ball into feet. But they're all over 6 foot, all decent in the air. Same type of striker allows us to play a certain way, and not, if we're missing one of them, have to change everything and change to something that doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's what's crippled us.
I do admit, though, I want Dom to play on Saturday in a mask and him to score the goal and Dobbin to get the assist. So then the headline can be Batman and Dobbin.
Would be good. That would be good.
You having that, Jack?
Yeah, that was a good one, to
That
be
would
fair.
be good.
How long did it take you to think of that?
Just thought top of my head there.
Nah, I'm not having
See
that.
the crowbar there into the conversation. as well.
Crowbar then, Dom scoring against this Boyle club at Bramall Lane, obviously would be lovely.
And they're the Blades as well, and so you know what I mean.
It's all kinds
It all
of
comes
things,
together.
You know what I
Nah,
mean?
you've lost me now.
Hell,
That's it. Don't worry.
about it.
But yeah, listen, let's have a look at the match stats from the game. There you go, Doncaster 1, Everton 2. 15 attempts.
15 shots.
Well, hang on, at one stage, the shot count was 14-3 after an hour. So Everton done well to...
At one point, we hadn't been in their box.
No, I know. So we've reined that back in. Both had 5 on target. Everton had 5 big chances to Doncaster's 1. And the Blues finished with 60% of the possession. Listen, it wasn't a great performance by Everton. It was better in the second half. We've won the game. We've scored some goals. We got in the true Carabao Cup, the way it's treated Everton and this competition, we got a draw in the next round. We could have had Sutton at home, but no, we got sent to Aston Villa. There you go, you've got to play them at some stage. And we just move on now. We've got a game at the weekend, it's a big game. You've got to get something out the game. Got to go and win early. But we've got to get something out the game and then into the international break. If Everton can win at the weekend by hook or by crook, get the result, we go into that international break off the back of 2 wins. Harrison back, McNeil back after a break, Dom up to speed. The manager's name checked Delhi as well today, saying he'll be ready after the break. Who knows what business Everton may do between now and the deadline as well. And by the time we play Arsenal at Goodison, we could be in a totally different... Yeah, but
No one knows.
Arsenal at home, we normally beat them for R5 on a Saturday night. If you're coming off the back of 2 wins and some new faces and people back in the squad, Goodison will feel totally different that night. Backs to the wall job, you know what it is, but that's how seasons can change. And listen, last night at one stage was the most horrific I've ever seen Everton.
True.
Just to go with your, you know, Batman and Dobbin and your tattoo on your arm, sometimes it's darkest just before dawn. So let's hope Beto and Dan Juma are just opening the curtains to that new dawn. What a terrible way to finish. That's it. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. We won a game and listen, sometimes you've just got to accept the good things when you're in that moment. Thanks for watching. See you later.